Hey friend, my name is Bryce Henson, CEO of Fit Body Bootcamp and one of your co-hosts here at the Fit Body Inside Look. Now this show is for our franchise partners and for those who are interested in joining our brand, where we execute meaningful interviews with our franchise partners, internal HQ team, coaches and clients to be able to provide you more insight and to get more acquainted with our brand and also to showcase the business opportunity available. Thanks so much and enjoy the episode. Welcome back, friends, to another amazing episode of the podcast. And I have my two dear friends here, Steve and Trisha Long. And before I tee them up, I want to give you a friendly reminder to give us a like and subscribe on YouTube and write us an amazing review on iTunes. That way we can keep producing this content for you for free. So Trisha and Stephen, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Bryce.
Thanks
Glad
for
to be
having
on.
us.
Oh, super excited. So the first question I want to kind of get into is really the backstory. And for our audience, I know I shot an introduction here, but they're two of our most successful owners in the brand, owners of Fern Creek Fit Body in Kentucky, and really want to hear the backstory and how you got it launched. So Steve, I'll ask you first.
Thanks, Bryce. And you know, when I think back to when we first decided to open up, we were both working corporate jobs and unfulfilling type of jobs, whereas more just kind of a worker bee and wanting more for our lives and whatnot. We kind of dabble around. We were big into fitness and stuff, and honestly, I did a Google search. I approached it to Trisha and said, "Have you ever heard of Fit Body Bootcamp?" And made a few calls and did a little research, and that was really there was nothing magical about it other than just doing a quick little Google search of fitness franchises, because we knew we needed to have some sort of a structure and kind of help us on, because we were new to being business owners and whatnot.
Totally.
It was one of the first ones that popped up, and we called around and talked to a few people in the headquarters staff at the time, and took the plunge.
Off you went. What year was this?
2017.
2017, yes.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, we had actually, we had seen that there was a Fit Body in Indianapolis, Indiana, which is about 2 hours away. So we made a phone call to that owner and took a drive up there to see what Fit Body was all about.
Yep.
Checked it out, kind of did the sniff test, if you will, and
Yep.
then from there got more interested to take action.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Cool. Well, before we actually kind of dive into that journey, I want to kind of rewind the clock back. And Trisha, I'll ask you first, and then Steve, I'm curious on your feedback. But you're both working the corporate America type of jobs. But why fitness? And I'm curious, was fitness kind of part of your lifestyle when you were a child? And if not, like when did it come to be? So you first.
So I have always been active growing up. I grew up in a very active household. I can remember being very young and my dad taking us to his local gym. He'd go and lift some weights, and my sister and I would sit in the room with the other kids. You could look out and see everyone out there working out. And my mom was involved in softball. We rode bikes as kids, played kickball. We were always outside and always active. I was involved in volleyball when I was very young. Once I entered into high school, I was involved in track and cross country. I did the long distance events and was also involved in that in college as well.
So always like kind of in the background of your childhood.
Yeah.
So it was kind of more of a natural fit when Steve kind of broached the topic. You're like, well, hey, this is kind of part of my lifestyle.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense to me.
It's something I've always enjoyed doing.
Yeah. How about you?
So I was active, the same as Trisha. I was active when I was younger. I grew up on a farm doing farm things and helping out on the farm.
That's where the work ethic comes from.
Yeah. And I just played sports in high school, and not necessarily from the fitness, but more for the social aspect of it. But after high school, joined the military, and after outside of the mandatory workouts that they make you do and everything, started kind of lifting and lifting weights on my own and everything, and just enjoying that process of just seeing that physical change, and that habit just kind of continued on, to this day.
That's awesome. And just for our viewers there, I mean, at the end of the day, certainly fitness and fit body is a healthy and active lifestyle. But these two, you guys are just so inspiring. You guys take it to the nth level, and just really have a lot of respect and admiration for you guys just walking the talk, I think. So just wanted to provide some acknowledgement there to our audience.
Thank you, Liz.
So Trisha, I'm going to kind of, go to you, and specifically being that you partner with Steve and you guys are a team effort, if you will, but the gym industry, well, it's changing. It's still heavily male dominated. What would you say, I guess, has been your experience, maybe some challenges, being a strong woman and being a strong leader, in the business from your perspective? We're going to take a TV timeout. All right, I'll change gears. I'm going to actually...
Sorry, I don't really, because I think our dynamic is a little bit different. Like,
Well, I think what she's coming from is that,
I still work in my full time.
Yeah.
You know.
and so she has not been traditionally been as involved as she wants to be and everything, and that's changing. But
Actually, yeah, August 12th is my last day at my.
So,
But could I just ask the question, like, what's it like being a female gym owner? How about this? I'm going to ask you, we're going to fast forward, and now we're going to transition to basically you opening. Like, what were your initial goals? Like, what was the big why? So I feel like fitness, but what did you, like, there's a lot of different ways to make money, but like, why did you choose to basically open a business?
Okay.
that was good. Yeah.
Does that work?
Yes.
Want to go back? All right, Trisha, I'm going to start with you, and then Steve, I want your buy-in as well. But from a goals perspective, I mean, there's a lot of different ways you can make money. There's a lot of businesses out there. Certainly, I'm sure it was a passion, but what were your specific goals when launching Fern Creek?
Honestly, we were both just very passionate about fitness. And we thought, you know, if we wanted to get out of our corporate type jobs, why not do something that we love and share it with the people in our community? So it was really to have a greater impact in our community, and there was not a fit body in our area. So,
Yeah, how about you?
No, it's the same thing. I think it's to have a more fulfilling role and fulfilling type of feeling in what we do for a living, and obviously we needed to make some money because to support our family and the things we want to do for the future, but also to have something that we can also feel good about it, that we're doing something we can see change within our community and also the people we serve as well.
Yeah. Kind of follow up on that question, how have your goals evolved and changed? And the reason I ask you this is when you first launched in 2017, now fast forward many years later, things change, and certainly you probably have different sources of fulfillment. And I say this, you know, singing your praises. I know your team are a bunch of rock stars, and I'm sure when you first came in, the team probably wasn't, at least for me as a business owner, that wasn't front of mind. It was more like the clients and making that impact. But then of course you had to become stronger leaders and then build an awesome team of coaches, etc. So how have your goals, changed or evolved since you first started in 2017? Steve first, and then after that, Trisha.
Yeah. So early on when we first started, it was, to be honest, we were very naive and oblivious to a lot of things that we are now. And so it was business was new to us at that time. And just business ownership in general was new to us at that point. So we were just really going through the process of just serving our members the best way we can, right? And so our goals at that time were basically to, impact membership, drive our membership up and
build a relationship.
Build relationships. And I think at this point we're still looking at kind of growing, pouring into our members. But we also want to grow our impact through multiple locations. So we have a total of 5 territories that we want to, be in within the Louisville area, as well as provide all the opportunities to our team. It's actually that's one of the I think the things that we've kind of the hidden sources of fulfillment that we felt is providing those opportunities to our team where they can advance and they can make a living on their own, doing stuff that they love. And that's actually a very rewarding part, is to see them grow, see them fulfill themselves, but also excel and grow them personally and professionally, and take ownership of the business.
Totally, and I feel the same way from my journey. And being very candid with you in the audience, my team wasn't, when I first started the business, that wasn't the priority. It was really about the members and having the same impact fitness had on my life and be able to give that to other people. But then as the business grew, and then you bring on awesome team members you develop, and you're like, oh shoot, like now I also have an additional purpose to help support them, and now from an ownership perspective, so I can relate. Trisha, how about you?
I was going to say, I think that it did not really strike me the impact that we were having on our team until COVID hit. Up until that point, I was more focused on our members and changing, their lives and having an impact on them. Once COVID hit, I remember talking to Stephen, and I was like, we had to thrive through this. Our team is depending on us. Their families are depending on us. So it became more about, loving more on our team and growing them so that they could have more opportunities to provide for their families.
Totally. Speaking of families, and I think this is a really interesting dynamic because I believe you both have, kind of a joint family, and now you've come together. Yeah. Can you share a little bit about the dynamic in terms of, what your family's makeup and kids you have, and are they kind of coming to the gym, and what does that look like? So Trisha, I'll start with you first.
So we have 3 kids. Our oldest is going off to college this fall, and that is Stephen's son.
Okay.
And then the younger 2 are mine. I have a son who will be a sophomore this fall, and a daughter who will be in 8th grade.
Oh, wow.
They are pretty active. Our oldest was involved in track and cross country in high school.
Do they come to boot camp too?
He comes to boot camp.
Sometimes, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. And then the middle son, he's involved in baseball and basketball and fishing. And our daughter is in dance and cheer. You kind of have to push them to come into the boot camp, but the middle son, he's getting more into weight training and more interested.
Yeah. Yep. Anything to add there?
No, I think it's just as she said, that they'll go in, but it's more of us pushing them to do that versus them doing it on their own. And I think hopefully through our example and just kind of seeing that what we're involved in and stuff will carry that habit on for them, down there, as they get older, and that they continue with the fitness habit.
It was funny, on his birthday, I got ready to go up to the boot camp to work out with him for his birthday, and my daughter was like, "Where are you going?" I said, "I'm going to go up to the boot camp and work out with Stephen. We're going to work out in one of the sessions for his birthday." And I said, "Do you want to go?" I totally expected her to say, no, thank you. But she was like, "Yeah, sure." So I was like, oh, okay, awesome. So all 3 of the kids came up there and we did a family workout together.
Nice.
It lit me up.
That's awesome. Well, you guys lead by incredible examples. Obviously, us connecting as friends and on social, it's pretty inspiring to see. And I think it's just a good, talking point for our audience, because this is a family affair, right?
Yeah.
People come, whether it's the husband or wife, they come in, they're passionate about something. And even if the spouse doesn't work specifically, lockstep, many times it happens, but other times it doesn't. But there's still that support system needed. And of course, being that we are a family-rich organization in terms of building community, so I wanted to kind of shine some light on that for our audience. Transitioning more kind of like the tactical running, a fitness business, especially, the challenges we went through COVID. To enlighten our audience a little about the skills that you've had to acquire. Steve, I'll ask you first. From a skills perspective, what have you had to acquire, that type of skill set that you didn't have previously joining as a FitBody owner? And then secondarily, what skill set are you working on, basically developing now? Steve, I'll ask you first, and then flip it over to Trisha.
I think from when I first started, and when we first started running the FitBody Bootcamp, I really lacked in my leadership skills and my communication. I think those 2 things were really, I was naive and think that I could do it, but I was not very good at it. As you know, leadership and communication are both skills that you can develop, and unless you develop and you kind of get into there, a lot of people just don't have the ability to do it very well. Mm-hmm. And that was me. I think early on there's a lot of mistakes that I've made along the way, and I've kind of grown through that through the just seeking out help, right? Getting involved in mastermind groups and whatnot, and connecting with other like-minded folks, other owners, for example, and stuff. Mm-hmm. Things I'm working on now is still leadership and communication. I think it's the bedrock of everything, right? And just leading the team. Before I was leading everything, now I'm trying to lead my team and pour into them more, where they can go off and fulfill our mission versus it's just relying on myself and Trisha. Totally. Communication is key. I think that's something that is the biggest overlooked thing in terms of skill or ability for someone, and the better you're able to communicate your goals, your vision, the better folks, your team will be able to execute and whatnot.
Totally. And for me, I'll kind of interject here. If I could, rewind the clock back to my younger self, when I first launched my first location in 2012, I was excited about fitness, like passionate about the nutrition, the coaching, really helping people. But if I could, whisper in my younger self's ears, like, Bryce, you need to focus a lot more on the leadership aspect, because that's really going to make the biggest impact on yourself, your clients, and ultimately your team to that point. So definitely align there. Trisha, from your perspective, what are the skills that you've had to acquire, and maybe some skills that you're looking to continue to develop?
Okay. I think in the when we first opened, my role was more, focused on supporting Stephen through this, and I did have, full disclosure, I had a hard time with that because
And it's good to because that happens, right?
Yeah, I'm a very driven person myself, and the role that I was in was not a very fulfilling role at the job that I'm at now, not with the boot camp. I absolutely loved coming into the boot camp to help out. So there was a little bit of envy there that he was able to step down from his unfulfilling role to step into the boot camp. But it took me some time. We had our ups and downs, but eventually I embraced supporting him and pushing him. I wanted him to be the best he could be because I believed in this, and I wanted to see it succeed.
That's awesome.
I wanted to see him succeed.
And it's important. Well, that's incredible, first and foremost. And I know, Steve, I'm sure you know this. That's a huge, accolade that you have such an awesome, committed wife to support you, because we all need a support system. So very crucial. And I think it's important to kind of show that vulnerability, because let's face it, human interactions and relationships and building a business, it's tough, right? And there's a lot of things that happen in front of the camera, but also a lot of things that happen in the back behind the camera. And it's important to kind of give our audience visibility to the trials and tribulations that they're also going to go through as well.
Yeah, and I think the communication, even not only with the team, but also between a husband and wife, and us, going about this like we did. We didn't. I don't know if I communicated very well, and to fulfill her needs and kind of make sure that she feels important in this whole process. And so that's one of the things that we could, if we could go back in time, and would change that part, right?
Yeah.
Because that created friction, and friction, can cause problems.
Totally.
Yeah.
I think one of the important things is, I had a very narrow focus at that time. I was only seeing what he was getting to do and what I was not getting to do. But we had a family, and one of us had to be there for the family, for the kids, for the house, and then to, push the other one to drive this thing forward.
Yeah. How about present day in terms of your roles? Because certainly have different roles. Trisha, you're supporting Steve's vision in terms of what that looks like, and things change with time. Steve, I'll ask you first, and then flip it over to Trisha. What are your kind of day-to-day roles, if you will, responsibilities? And I know, Trisha, you're more of a supporting role, still having an outside career, but still at the end of the day, you're still very engaged in supporting in the back end. So would love to kind of get some more insight from both of you.
Yeah, so we recently really went all in with the EOS system, and really reshaped our organization in terms of roles and responsibilities among our team members. I'm at top at I'm at the more of the visionary, shaping defining the vision, and really pushing forward for that growth and the impact that we're having in our community. And so that's what I'm, a big part. I'm still part of, looking at the marketing and the finances in part, but largely I'm getting more and more out of the operations. It feels like every day that I'm getting more and more out of the operations, and really focusing more on that long-term vision to over the next 5-10 years, where we can grow our impact through different multiple territories and locations.
And does that fill your cup? Is that something you're naturally gravitate to?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think it's important to kind of spell out for our audience too, because my role, your role has definitely, it changes, just like anything evolves. And when you first enter the business, things look very different than fast forward a few years later. So
absolutely.
That clarity is important.
Yeah.
And Trisha, on your end, now day to day, how do you support knowing that you still have another career, but how does this all work, together in the back end?
So when we first opened and currently, I feel like my biggest role was connecting with people. It was connecting with our clients, and as our team grew, connecting with our team, and then just building a relationship with those people. We are to the point now to where I will be stepping out of my full-time nursing role, and I will be more in the operations on the leadership team.
Oh, congratulations.
So I will be assuming an HR type role and
Compliance also.
Fun times.
Compliance.
Well,
Trish, you got to crack the whip.
which
You're
I have
sweet,
been-
but you got to crack
That's
it.
one of the things, in the background that I've been, saying, I'm like, we need more processes. We need more processes. If we're going to open up more facilities, we need to have a process and an organization around it. So.
Totally.
She'll do very well in this role because she does connect really well with the team. She's, people go to her and tell her things that they necessarily won't come tell me and everything, and that's cool. But she also connects with members, and she's able to just have that kind touch with folks that I don't know if I have.
Well, fair enough. It literally reminds me of the same dynamic with my wife, Tatiana. I mean, she's behind the scenes connecting and just running the ship and making sure things fall in order. So, teamwork make the dream work. So,
Absolutely.
Trisha, speaking of connecting and really, members and the impact that you've had, would love to actually pick both of your brains, but on one of your most memorable transformations. And transformations can come all shapes and sizes. Certainly, you think weight loss in that aspect, but it could be, health medication or just a change in, mindset. Would love to hear from you, and then Steve afterwards.
I think the first person that comes to my mind is one of our clients, Tim. He has 3 daughters. 2 of them were coming to the boot camp at the time, and they had been talking to them. They had been talking to him about coming. He was very, very, very overweight. I'm not sure what his highest weight was, but he ended up losing 150 pounds, or over 150 pounds with us. He focused more on his nutrition. It was just coming into boot camp at least 5 days a week, focusing on nutrition. It changed his mindset. He is one of our biggest cheerleaders now, but I think it was the impact that it had on his family that got me the most. His daughters are getting older. All 3 of them are now married, and they were like, Dad, we want you to be around when we have grandkids.
Yeah.
So this is an insurance policy more than anything. So that was what it was amazing that he lost all that weight, but it was the fact that now he has bought himself more time with his family and his beautiful wife. And
that's amazing. I've actually never looked at it like that, like his insurance policy, because that's really what it is. And as fitness professionals, we think of like the pounds lost, the inches lost, which is important, but that's really just surface. At the end of the day, it's the confidence, it's the belief, it's the empowerment, it's the more time to be able to support your family. It's an incredible story. So thank you for sharing. Steve, how about you?
There's been so many different transformations that we've experienced and been a part of, and so I have 2 if I can.
Please.
Or there's actually, the first one was really around our Fit Body Forever program that we rolled out last October, and we've grew to pretty good numbers at this point. But really seeing these folks, these are our grandparents' age or our parents' age and grandparents' age. We have from 55 all the way to 80 years old, and to see them progress and change their abilities to be able to not be able to get up and down off the floor to get down on the floor and back up for a continuous 3 minutes. It's amazing, right? From them not able to get even down on their knees and just experience that pain, just to see the physical transformation on their part as far as where they can really, it's extending their life, their useful life, and their ability to do things that they want to do for as long as they want to.
Totally.
That's pretty amazing. The other one is when we first opened up. It was probably back in 2018. Her name is Tessa Franklin, and she was one of our very big, first big weight loss transformation people. And the one thing that I remembered from her is that she came to the parking lot 2 or 3 different times and did not come in because she was scared. She was scared, and she
told you that after the fact.
Absolutely, yes. We didn't know that, and so she came in and she just kept on, was very consistent, was focusing on her nutrition, and she lost over 100 pounds, and it was just magical to see the differences in her. She's a single mother, works, and has 2 kids, and so for her to be able to do that on her own and everything, that was pretty amazing to see it, because a lot of people give a lot of excuses that time and whatnot, and we're all busy and everything, but Tessa made it happen with 2 kids, working, being afraid to the point that I can't even come into the doors several times. That was pretty amazing and very fulfilling to see her transformation.
Her mother even came into the facility one day after the sessions and thanked us for changing Tessa's life.
That's awesome. Well done. That just fires me up. It just warms my heart. I know that's for you and your whole team and list of community. So big changes and big impact we're making. So well done. All right, the last kind of bigger questions before we still have some time for the lightning round. But since 2017 is when you started, I want you to kind of take a step back now, kind of look at a 30,000 foot view. And Trisha, I'll first start with you from a different perspective than Steve. But what would you say in a 2-part question? What were the biggest challenges that maybe you didn't know going in? You're like, holy smokes, if I look back since 2017, I can't imagine or I can't believe we overcame those. And then what has been this biggest source of fulfillment that you've experienced basically in your ownership?
Okay, I would say that the biggest challenge was navigating this as a married couple. I don't think that we were prepared for, the ups and downs. We weren't prepared for, sorry.
No, just the challenge that goes with it. It's strenuous. So
we weren't prepared for the stress that it would put, on us and our family.
What would you say, and sorry to interject, but that sort of struggle is real, and I'll be the first one to tell you, admit, I mean, that's a stressful situation. My wife and I, Tatiana, there's certainly been challenging times and friction because of the dynamic of running a business and having a life and all that, so that's very common. What would you say if you could, kind of go back to your younger selves? What advice or recommendations would you make in order to kind of bridge that gap and make it, less friction based?
I think better communication and really understanding each other's roles and being supportive of and setting and being supportive of those roles, right? Like she said, she was supportive of me, but I was neglecting her. Her needs as well, from the standpoint that she was helped drive this thing forward through a support role, but she wasn't getting acknowledged the way that she needs to. And just the communication about where what's happening in the business and where we're going and all the day-to-day stuff that that make her feel like she's a part of this versus she's on the sidelines.
Yeah. And I think also, like setting boundaries with each other too. Don't bring, work home.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that I had to grow to understand was just how Stephen was when he came home from a long day, at the boot camp. He needed his time to decompress. Whereas I had been sitting in front of a computer all day and needed to talk to someone, and he comes through the door and I'm like, what happened today? Tell me all about it. And he's like,
this is human nature, and I'm going to say this because I have a rule with Tatiana that I need 5 minutes when I hit the door. I just need 5 minutes before basically the questions, and it comes with love and all that. And it's the same way for you. Like, you've been sitting on the sidelines, you want to come with love, but that those boundaries in that decompression zone is so important. So I think that's just really I want to present that because I've gone through the same thing.
Yeah, setting those rules up front with each other.
Yeah.
So it took us a while to, to get to that point, but
to navigate.
We got there.
About the other side of the coin, what's been the biggest source of fulfillment, looking back since 2017?
Same answer, navigating this as a married couple. It's been amazing, like growing this together and seeing each other go through personal growth.
Love that. How about you, Steve?
Challenges. What challenges about when we first opened up and everything?
Yeah, well, if you look back, since 2017, just 30,000 foot view, what are the 1 or 2 things, obstacles or challenges that really are front and center in your mind that, you can't believe you overcame?
I think just the standpoint of, like I said, we were very new when it comes, we were not business owners before all this. We were, we came in very naive, I believe, from the standpoint of, hey, we're just going to open this thing up. People are going to flock to us, and we're going to be widely successful. And we open up number 2 in a couple of years, and we'll be,
Golden.
living the dream, right?
Yeah.
Hands off, got the team going to be running it. And this is just not how it is, right? That's like fantasy world. And so it's a ton more work, and it's a ton more challenging to get one of these get a business in general, fitness business, whatever, to get it off the ground, and where it's actually producing money and also producing impact.
Yeah.
And so I think we were naive on that to understand that challenge of getting over the hump where you're able to find some good, reliable team members that you can rely on, and that's going to help grow the mission, and not do it on yourself.
And you figured it out because you have just an awesome team of Fire the Green
100%.
Dragons. I know your team, and it's just a pleasure to work with them and come to the conferences. So I'm not glad that you had a challenge, but ultimately you overcame it, and that's what it's about.
Yes.
On the flip side, what would you say is the biggest source of fulfillment since you look back?
Outside of just kind of growing and kind of doing this as a husband wife team, I think it's just really seeing the growth in our team, and to be quite honest, we're stepping out of the more day-to-day stuff, and they're driving our vision forward. It's pretty amazing. We're still involved on more leadership and over that 30,000 view up, but it's our team doing the day-to-day stuff, and to see them grow into those roles and take ownership of those roles, that's actually very rewarding for me to see, and it's providing them opportunities that kind of shine light on their strengths, and where they can grow and excel, and they're going to do amazing things.
Yeah, I love that, and I can resonate so much because for me, that's probably been the biggest source of my fulfillment over time. So I can relate on multiple, categories that you just laid out. So, well, I appreciate you both. You've been so gracious with your time. We still have some time for the lightning round if you guys are up for it.
Absolutely.
All right, fun stuff. We talked about growth and skill and development. What would you say are 2 to 3 ways, or just a couple of specific ways that you continuously, grow and develop, and whether it's, books or podcasts or events? And if you can be more specific, Steve, I'll ask you first, and I'll flip it over to you, Trisha.
So the main source of my growth and my continued growth is really this coaching groups, right? I'm part of the Fit Body Mastermind group, part of the Arte Syndicate with Ed Milet and Annie Frisella. We do books every so often, and we're on a regular basis, maybe once every 4 to 6 weeks and whatnot. But really, it's those coaching groups that are my big source of growth, as well as connecting with other Fit Body owners. To be honest, I speak with Trevor, once a week, and we connect on a regular basis to just talk about what's happening and just really doing that. I'm connecting with the CAP team. With Barrett, and I get a call with CJ every so often, and I speak to Joey every so often, and so lots of just that being with those like-minded people and those people that are doing great things, to learn from them and grow from them.
It's gold, and I feel like the system, the network that we have, and what's the famous saying, a rising tide raises all ships, so true. So how about you?
I am a big podcast junkie.
Okay, give us some specifics, because I know there's going to be some viewers there that would really want to tap into that.
So my top podcasts that I listen to on a regular basis are the Ed Milet Show, Annie Frisella's podcast, Brendan Burchard, the Model Health Show with Sean Stevenson, and this podcast.
Look at that.
So.
Awesome. All right, next up, looking back kind of at the 2017 journey, and we've talked a little bit about the challenges, but what would you say was a big mistake, a big, very green mistake that you made as a new owner that, basically someone watching this podcast potentially could make as well, that you'd want to give them guidance to avoid?
I think it's the mistake of just having the expectation that people are just going to come flock to your gym.
Build it and they will come.
And it's going to be easy, right? It's incredibly hard to to get to the point where it's producing, cash flow, and it's very stressful on an individual if you're married or have a couple and with your kids. It's a lot more time than what I expected, a lot more money than I expected, a lot more frustrations, right? Mm-hmm. I think the mistake was having the wrong mindset. That it's just going to be easy.
Yeah.
It's not.
Because it's not going to be easy.
It's not easy.
It's just going to be fulfilling, but it's not going to be easy.
Yeah.
How about you?
Honestly, I would say the same.
Yeah.
Okay. What would you say, outside as looking at the next question, is the common misconception of a gym owner? So people are, watching from afar, like the gym owner has a glamorous life, and certainly there's some highs and lows and goods and bad, just like anything. What would you say, outside looking in, is a common misconception of what a gym owner's life is actually like? Trisha, you first.
I would say that that it's easy, and like you said, that you build it and they will come, and that you just get to work out all the time.
All day.
Yeah.
All day. That's what everyone thinks. You just work out the whole day, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
How about you?
I think the misconception was that people, like we always got the comment early on that, what else are you doing? They thought that we had other jobs, that this wasn't a full-time gig.
What do you guys do during the day? Just kind of hang out?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes. That's exactly the question that we got. And so I think it's a misconception is that, outside of the actual kind of, having, training members in our boot camp sessions, there's all kinds of stuff has to happen in between to make everything work and whatnot that people just don't realize. So it's there's a ton of work outside of what actually is seen.
Totally. Oh goodness, I love that struck a nerve for me too, because I've been asked that so many times, especially in my early days. Which is, you're just hanging out, relaxing, watching TV. It's like, no, there's so much that goes into it behind the scenes. So, all right, my friends, last question, and you guys have been so great, so really appreciate this. And this really question's for our audience member, because I know there's a few out there that are interested in taking that next step, being a gym owner, a fitness business owner, a fit body owner as an example, but they're scared. There's a concern. There's some sort of, some obstacle in their way from a mental perspective. What would you say to that person to really provide some guidance on their next step? So Trisha, I'll go with you, and Steve will finish with you.
Okay. I would say to not hesitate to reach out to other successful boot camp owners. Go and visit one if you can, and talk one-on-one with that current owner.
Yeah, great advice.
No, I agree, and I think it's getting more comfortable with people that are gone before you and were in your shoes. I think getting talking through the goods, bad and ugly parts of the business is really important for someone new kind of considering this. So they go in with the eyes wide open and don't experience the friction points that could exist if you don't really understand all the aspects of opening up a new fitness gym and whatnot.
Love it. Before we wrap today, I just want to thank you guys so much for being on. You are incredible people, salt of the earth, so genuine. You lead by example. Like, you're extremely fit, you're extremely active, you care about your team, you care about your clients. I know this to be true, from our relationship for the last few years, and I'm just so grateful for you both being part of our brand, and so proud of you both. And I want to thank you both for being on the show.
Thank you, Royce.
Thank you.
All right, friends, I know you got a ton of value. Assuming you did, give us a like and subscribe on YouTube. And if you'd be so kind, drop your biggest takeaway in the comments, and that way we can engage and continue to add more value. So my friends, thank you so much, and we'll see you in the next episode.